All right, guys, disaster has struck in more ways than one. Not wanting this to be clickbait or nothing. I finally got power into the truck, make sure the windows work, got the window tint, had most of the interior all together, just had that gauge cluster out, and Lord and behold, the window motor didn't work. It was AC Delco. That's great. I had to pull that all back apart, got it going. Got power door locks working, except the passenger right rear. Can't get it to work right. I don't know why. I've messed with it. It has all brand new actuators in it, 12 volts of power to it, the whole 9 yards. It's driving me bonkers. Put door panels on. I mean, I've done everything. I think the driver's side door lock switch, it was bad. So now I got to pull that back out and put this one back in the passenger side. And I should have 3 good door locks. That's enough. I'm pretty aggravated with the whole setup. When I tore this truck apart, this one's the one that came from California. Everything worked except the door locks. Well, put power to it and nothing worked except I had power to the windows, but it wasn't working right. So for anybody that ever has an issue with the headlight switch, there's a million videos out there and there's a million things of wiring schematics and all that. Well, that's great. And I did the whole yes, no, if you have power here, go here. If you don't, do this. So what I learned in this whole situation is there is a little red wire back there. I don't know if you could quite see it, but that red wire fed all the way up to this orange wire on the back of the headlight switch, and that is for the headlight fuse. I had power everywhere once I got to moving things around and messing with the harness. I'll tell you more about the harness here in a second. I did all the testing on the dimmer switch and nothing was working right. I thought it was a headlight switch, got a headlight switch, still nothing, had power going in, and I had power at the fuse. Well, what somebody had done is done some Mickey Mouse wiring underneath here, and at the very back behind the fuse panel, which it's just a pain to even see what's in here, you could see that red wire. I had to rerun. I pulled that apart and I worked on this for days. I traced it, yes, no, diagnosing. No, I don't know how to use a PowerPoint. I should know how to use a PowerPoint. I've had someone show me umpteen times. Still didn't pick it up, not an idiot. I could build diesel motors like nothing, but when it comes to electricity, well, I suck. So there's more Mickey Mouse wiring in here. This is for the radio stuff. Had power to it sometimes. This is a big block truck with fuel injection. So I don't know why I couldn't get it all to work. I mean, I fought it with that big block harness because it was perfect. There wasn't a sliced wire anywhere except for the O2 sensor that I cut when we pulled the cab off in one piece. So I got rid of it. I had another big block carbureted harness. There's not a single cut in it. I did collect many of trucks for a while. Be honest with you, I was really aggravated with this setup just because I couldn't figure out why I was having so many issues with the electricity. So much so that it burned up that gauge cluster. Can't get it to do crap now. That quite pisses me off, but not terribly because I don't want to use it. I have several more to choose from, but 2 weeks dicking with this wiring, just I couldn't even believe it. Couldn't even fathom in my brain why I couldn't pick it up. So I swapped out that fuel injection harness. I've got the butt plug for that firewall there, and then that other little one that you see right there, that's for the external antenna. This is an 88, which I got rid of those fenders. So just keep plugging away. Again, that was a total disaster. I wish I knew how to work a Power Pro better, but I didn't. So if you get power everywhere, oh, and that was the other thing. Make sure you're getting power from that fuse panel coming out. I just wasn't reading the schematic right, I guess. I don't know. But definitely make sure you're doing that. And also my headlight dimmer switch was bad. Luckily I have umpteen extra columns laying around, so I just robbed it from that. But then it gets better because I went to go do the bushings and the leaf springs because I was over the electricity and my fingertips were just raw. Pushing, pressing these bushings out. It was going okay, kind of fun me. Thought I could do it with the ball joint tool. Not happening. Ended up having to use the press. I got one done. And this has the DIY 4x4 52-inch spring conversion on it. Well, that's great. I got the 9/16 bolts. That's even better. But somewhere in the mix of all this one here, this bushing, I didn't do the big bore. It's not going to be an off-road truck. I don't off-road my trucks. It's not something I do. And of course, the normal 1.5-inch bushing that you would get for the big bore, well, doesn't fit in there. It's 1 1/8 and some change. So that's a setback. In between that setback, I had the front axle on jack stands, and all hell broke loose and it fell off while I wasn't even standing here. Is it my fault? I'm sure. Somewhere along the line I could have done better. Just quite aggravated with the process. It seems to be taking way too long to get back together. I'm not even messing with it until I get the bushings in, because I'll just be able to hang it. I'll probably ratchet strap it to the frame just to get it up some. That's that. So now that the interior is tore back apart and slowly make progress to get it going, had the steering column all together, thought I was moving right along. I mean, harness was looking good in here, but it's not. I'm not even putting the dash back together until I get this whole thing back together. And the last thing to go on, well, I'll button the door panels all the way up, and that's it. Some people talk about doing the relay for the power window motors, but I honestly think with these new motors in here, the next video I'll be able to show you, because I already unhooked the battery, how much better they work than the factory ones were. They're a lot quicker. I mean, are they today's standard on cars? No, but they go up pretty quick, way better than they did with the other motors, and there really was nothing wrong with the other motors, but I don't feel like pulling door panels on and off. So again, I can't express it enough. The headlights, I know so many people have issues with it, and I mean, you could read the schematics and do all of it, and I know there's guys that could rebuild the headlight switch. I did, and I attempted to rebuild it, and then it just popped out in a few pieces. In the midst of all that, it was able to go flying. I was able to take a good left throw with it. Probably not the best thing to do, but I didn't give a shit. I was furious. So, that's where we're at. I'm hoping this week or next week have the front end back on the ground. And then I'm gonna be able to put the zero rate spacer for the back to move the differential back about 1 inch. That there is another aggravating thing. If you do the rear shackle flip, do the zero rate spacer. No, none of this whole, well, it might or it might not. If you're gonna run factory springs with the shackle flip, just do the zero rate and move it back the way it's supposed to. None of this. I hate the whole, I'm not sure, maybe. Just do it all at one shot. Making progress. I mean, the bed of the truck was full. So, but that's where we're at. If anybody has any questions, I'm here to tell you. It's fun tearing them all the way down and putting them back together. Yep, this is the last build. I'm done. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. I'll see you.